Hello friends! This is around my 5th or 6th attempt at participating in Inktober, and coincidentally every year, I only manage to draw for about a week or two. For those of you who are new to this, it's basically a challenge meant for artists to pose in ink drawing every day in October, and this helps the artists to practice better drawing habits, improve their style, and get more a little creative. I've been participating in this Inktober challenge since 2017, and not once have I been successful with the full 31 days. However, that also does not stop me from doing this every year. In this video, I'll share with you some of my advice, the process, some of the materials I use, dealing with burnout, and lastly, some of my final thoughts. So to begin, let's first start off with some of the materials that I've been using for this challenge. I decided to keep it simple this year because a little goes a long way. The sketchbook I'm using is a Woodbridge sketch pad with 6 to 9 inches. And the sketch pad is great for pen cross-hatching and handles Copics really well, although the downside of it is that it does contain a little bit of bleeding depending on whichever material you decide to use. For larger areas of shadows, I use a standard pigmented brush pen, and this brand is by Le Pen Drawing, and from my experience with it, it creates a clean brush stroke and it doesn't blend with other ink on the pages. For outline and practically the majority of drawings, I use the Muji Gel ballpoint pen in the size 0.30mm. And lastly, I use the Muji mechanical pencil to roughly sketch out the outlines of my drawings. So for each Inktober day, there's a specific prompt that artists would follow. This creates certain limits and challenges for the artist, yet allows for creativity because of the limited options that one is faced with. For this year's prompts, I followed the official Inktober page on Instagram, and for day 15, the prompt is dagger. I decided to fully commit to the permanency of the pen and freehand the whole drawing, and that means no pencil sketching at all. This experience was daunting in the beginning because I was worried about making a mistake and not being able to erase it. However, the beauty of this is to allow for mistakes and to test the artist's capability of using it to their advantage. As Bob Ross would always say, we don't make mistakes, just happy little accidents. I didn't follow any themes or have a narrative for this Inktober, so my drawings are just an excuse for me to do some studies that I've been meaning to do but have been putting off. Now, at this point, you may ask, Anna, why are you starting this challenge in the middle of the month? And to that, my short answer is that I'm simply just lazy. My long answer to that is the burnout that I've been having from high art expectations and the stress from different events that are happening in my life. In the beginning and everything leading up to it, I was feeling very determined and motivated to do this challenge. I told myself that this year will be the year that I pull through and complete the Inktober challenge. I did make a drawing on the first day following Ocean Space's Inktober, and you will be able to find this on her Instagram. I've been using some of her prompts for the cute girls, but faltered after that. So that means literally after one day, I just couldn't do it afterwards. This leads me into my next point, flying down the rabbit hole of I'll do it the next day. I found myself saying this a lot within the first week or two. I'll save it for tomorrow, or I'll just make 2 drawings to make up for today. And this ended up being one of the huge downfalls throughout my journey because I later found myself in the middle of the month and literally having only 1 drawing down. Not gonna lie, it takes a lot of self-discipline to be able to force yourself to do a task that takes time and effort because drawing can get pretty complicated. From past experiences, I find that literally speaking aloud to yourself will force your mind and body to move and do what you want it to do. I also find that a good way to break out of all that "I'll do it another day" mentality is to just give yourself little goals. Some of the things that I find pretty helpful for myself is to draw a rough sketch of what's in front of you, to redraw an old drawing, or to simply just do some studies. This ended up helping me a lot in the beginning because it allows you to start off slow, but it gets your motivation going. Another aspect that goes alongside this is to just simply have low expectations. The higher your expectations are, the more it will lead to burnout and lose the drive and motivation. Moving on to day 16. So I made a little mistake with this prompt because it was supposed to be angel, but I mistaken it for another day and drew the term dangerous instead. I was inspired by Sina's Instagram Inktober story for the god of everything, and there's a recurring character in her story, which is a wolf, and I was intrigued by her style and how she ended up narrating this character. For day 16, the wolf's idea reminded me of Princess Mononoke, and I decided to use a scene from the movie as my reference. This one was a little challenging because the inspo picture I used was heavily stylized, and I had to figure out how to make it my own. I experimented with a bunch of different line strokes for the trees and the bushes to create a texture and movement of the wind blowing throughout the fields. Can't say I'm 100% content with the final outcome, but I'm glad I forced myself to push through and finish it. Even though near the end you will notice that I get a little bit lazy throughout the sky. The pen I'm using here is the Muji pen that's in the size 0.30 milliliters, or millimeters, not milliliters. I find that the sizing for this posed a huge challenge for me because it was super sharp and wouldn't really succeed in creating dramatic lines for areas that needed more cross-hatching. However, this is my third time repurchasing this because of the smooth gel-like texture and how much control I have over it. Though to be honest, I'll probably go back to the regular 0.5 millimeter size after finishing with this pack. Now on to day 17. I wanted some more freedom with today, so I decided to do a light study instead. I was doom scrolling through Instagram and found this one account of an artist doing studies for their Inktober challenge. I wanted to try my hand at something fairly difficult, which was drawing plastic and glass, so I decided to give that a try. To be honest, I hated it and I loved it. It did feel tedious at some points during the line strokes, but I was so determined to see the final results that this kind of motivated me to continue all the way until the end. I used some light and dark Copic markers to aid with the lighting since this was more out of my comfort zone. I can confidently say that I'm pretty content with the final results, considering it was my first time trying my hand at drawing the light hitting the glass. I tried keeping my expectations low for this one only because I was so excited, that I expected more, but unfortunately I couldn't achieve those. Although looking on the bright side, I'm actually not too bummed out about this one since it was a bit of a challenge on my end, but for the most part, I think I did fairly well for copying the reference that I was using. To give some final thoughts, unfortunately, I don't think I'll be continuing the rest of Inktober this year. I don't like the idea of forcing myself to do something that I enjoy because it just takes away the fun out of it. Drawing has always been my passion and once started off as a hobby, so it's very important to me that I don't take any further steps that will eventually lead to my burnout phase again. All in all though, Inktober is a wonderful challenge for artists to get creative again and to kind of draw for themselves. Of course, I will be doing my best to participate the next year, and who knows, maybe I'll complete the full 31 days, or I will keep my 8-year streak of never completing this challenge going strong. I do wish all the artists luck for the rest of Inktober this year, and thank you to those who have stayed all the way until the end of this video.